Hey guys, it's Luke, and welcome back to another video in the Disney Cultural Exchange Program series. Interviews for the Disney Cultural Exchange have begun for Australia and New Zealand. In this video, I'll share with you the bits that I can remember from the morning, but more after the thing. So to start off, I guess to keep myself covered, I need to say that I am in no way speaking on behalf of the Walt Disney Company. Anything I say or suggest here are my own words and do not reflect the views or opinions of Disney. And for you watching, this will be a long one, so I'll make sure that chapters are available on upload so that if need be, you can skip through to the parts that are most important to you. Now, it took me a while to get this video sorted. I had my interview on Thursday and I'm now recording this on the Wednesday. Unfortunately, my memory isn't what it used to be and it took some time to remember all that happened. I'm not usually one to take notes at these sorts of things, so forgive me if I left anything important out or even got anything wrong. Those who attended these interviews, feel free to include any corrections or further information that would be useful in the comments below. With that out of the way, let's begin. So of course, as I'm located in Adelaide, this meant that I had to travel across the border into Melbourne.
Melbourne. Try on.
My interview was held and hosted by the William Anglis Institute, from which the looks of it was a hospitality and tourism academy. There were folks in attendance who hadn't even signed up for the program yet, as I believe they have a slightly different application process to most other applicants. The facilitator was Recruiter Joe, and he was joined by the senior manager of Walt Disney Program Recruitment, Michelle. But apart from holding some of the interviews, she just let Joe do his thing. After all the formalities and introductions were out of the way, we were greeted with an information explosion. Beginning with the rundown on the Disney Company and its departments, but primarily focusing on the parks experiences and consumer products division. We were then shown a 2.5-minute hype reel covering what it means to work for Disney and provide guests with the Disney magic, and how at the center of it, cast members are at the core. Afterwards, Joe went on to discuss Walt Disney World specifically, which is kind of handy as that is where you'll be spending the program if accepted. To begin this, he did a simple little pop quiz, where if you got a question correct, you get one of these. The simple questions were, to give you guys in future interviews a heads up, how many theme parks are there in Walt Disney World? How many water parks? How many resort hotels? Name the 4 theme parks. And finally, what cruise ship is coming to Australia? Now, I wonder what that one is. That last question actually led to a nifty little nugget of information, as after the program there is the possibility of joining as a cast member on Disney Cruise Line, as Joe called it a phenomenal next step into a more long-term career with the Disney Company. Now to the exchange program itself. At the start of the program, everyone is signed up to a 5 to 6 month term. Then nearer the end, provided you don't have too many points or warnings against your name, you then have the opportunity to apply for an extension to your program for a further 6 months. Following that, we were shown another video of a guy from Mexico called Sebastian. This video followed him from acceptance to conclusion of the program and showed us all the other bits and pieces such as tradition, training, working, providing a bit of extra Disney magic, I mean where were the kids' parents to begin with, housing and time off. Basically all the ins and outs of the program in a neatly well-produced 3-minute video, which of course I'll leave you in the description below. Then we went deeper into information about what to expect as we start the program. In the cultural exchange, we get the same training that any other Disney cast member would receive, starting with Disney traditions, where we learn about the 5 keys: safety, courtesy, inclusivity, show, and efficiency, and how to use those not only in the parks, but also in our own personal lives too. Being a cultural exchange, we of course will be surrounded by people from other countries, religions, and ethnicities. Countries like Africa, Thailand, Mexico, UK, Europe, and Canada were just a few name drops. And as we're all accommodated together, it will be a tremendous experience of learning different cultures. And then of course, our exchange takes place in tandem with the Disney College program, so we'll also have that US influence around too. So next, Joe went on to talk about the work, reminding us that our position could be indoors and or outdoors, and that Florida weather is, well, Florida weather. The way I remember it is it's like having a warm shower and forgetting to turn on the exhaust fan, and never really actually feeling clean. The guaranteed minimum hourly rate is $14 an hour. Now to an Australian, that doesn't sound like much. And it isn't. But things are a little cheaper in the US than they are here in Australia, so keep that in mind. Depending on your role and a few other unspecified things though, you may get paid a little bit more. On average, you'll be working 30 to 40 hours per week. Australians in the program are guaranteed 30. However, overtime is available and usually comes down to the time of year, as if I begin my program in January, the end of March, where the USA is smack bang in the middle of the spring break, will be the busy period and definitely time to earn some extra dosh. As far as overtime goes, the laws are pretty similar here, as between a Sunday to Saturday, if you work more than 40 hours, you're entitled to overtime, which is time and a half pay. Now, Disney is open 365 days a year, so they ask us to be flexible. Being an Australian in Florida, right now, I don't see any reason I wouldn't be flexible, but hey, things may happen. Roles change depending on what country or program you are a part of. The following roles are for the 2023 intake for the Australian Cultural Exchange. And for this, we'll go from most available to least available. Starting up with quick service food and beverage. And that's basically what it sounds like. Fast food service. Very basic and straightforward position, but also it gives you the flexibility to work in multiple locations around the resort. Another positive that Joe points out about this role is that your section leader is always about. So you have the ability to be noticed for your good work and have that mentor there to develop you and create further opportunities during the program. Now, when I used to think attractions, I'd think Space Mountain, Snow White Mine Train, and Spaceship Earth. I didn't necessarily think parking attendant, parade control, auto plaza, loading stage shows, and so on, but there you go. Attractions is basically anything that assists the guest experience within the park, from the super duper e-ticket attractions right down to being the first face people see when entering the parks. It's a very broad title, and although safety is important in all the roles, as this is direct guest interaction, safety is of the utmost significance here in this role, so no room for complacency. Merchandise, or as Joe calls it, merchantainment. Providing guests with an exceptional retail experience anywhere from the main stores in the parks to the resort shops or little kiosks splattered around the resort. Just basically pairing the guest with that perfect tangible memory that they can take home with them. A seater is based in a table service restaurant. You will not be waiting on people, just seating them. You might help run food or stock, but basically the job is what it says, seating people at their available table. It involves memorizing table numbers, charts, and in certain restaurants, little spiels to give the guest as you walk them to their table. Recreation attractions. Most of the time in this role, you'll be dealing with water, anything from a slide operator to a marina or cabana attendant. So for this one, just make sure that you are comfortable at swimming, so if you trip or fall, you can save yourself. Fantasia Gardens and Winter Summerland Mini Golf are also included in this. Lifeguarding. This is available, but now we're starting to fall into the very limited roles here. You of course need to be a proficient and confident swimmer, and it is one of the higher paid roles. Full lifeguard training is provided when you've passed the initial competency test, and basically it is what lifeguard sounds like. You are the first responder until the big guys, if needed, arrive. Custodial is basically what it sounds like, a park cleaner. However, this is one of the jobs in the park which has the highest employee satisfaction, hence why it's so hard to get. Not only are you a cleaner though, but you're also to be a compendium of all theme park knowledge, As you're out and amongst the guests all day, they will look to you for directions and information on rides and parades and so on. So there is a little more to this role than face value. Many of the resorts have what is called a concierge level. That usually consists of the higher paying guests, and with it comes many perks such as a concierge on call. In this role, you will basically be their go-to person for information on parks, weather, all sorts of things, as well as assisting with reservations and bookings of tours, transportation, restaurants, that sort of thing. You could also be stationed down on the main lobby as a general concierge, assisting with check-in and money exchange. Now this one is ultra rare for the exchange program. PhotoPass are people that are stationed around parks and resorts with DSLR cameras. They take professional grade photos for guests and link them to their online PhotoPass accounts. At times, there may be opportunities to provide guests with magical moments, which are often characters that magically appear within photos, or cool little animations to share with family and friends. You also need to be familiar with all sorts of other tech, as guests will hand over their phones, iPad, or other cameras for you to take photos for them, so keep that in mind too. The last, but definitely not the least on this list, as this one is ultra rare. As quite a few characters do not talk, cannot see properly within the costume, you will be their mouth, eyes, and ears, aiding the guest in understanding the character and also managing breaks and such. It is probably usually good to have a couple of cute little stories in your back pocket to explain away to the guests why the character has to go. I think the one that Joe came up with was that Mickey has to step backstage because Donald Duck is losing his marbles because Pluto dug up his garden. Alright, how you doing so far? Keeping up? Trust me, it's a mouthful for me as well.
That's what she said.
We were told that training would be about a week and a half to 2 weeks, depending on your role. There will also be opportunities throughout the exchange for some more formal training and things that are distinctly Disney, as well as opportunities for backstage experiences that aren't available to guests. Also, there'll be opportunities in learning about how Disney does other facets of the business, such as HR and so on. We covered the Disney look, things like facial hair, piercings, tattoos, hair color, and so on. So at around the 40-minute mark of the session, we came to housing. The housing for the program is now located at Flamingo Crossings. As Google Maps hasn't updated in years, I am forced to use Bing Maps like a peasant. What is Flamingo Crossings? It's a new retail and accommodation master plan area by Disney. There are hotels, a retail precinct, and as it goes on, more restaurants and fast food options will become available. And it's all pedestrian friendly too. Now, with accommodation at Flamingo Crossings, there are a few options. And they are priced, well, this part is the ridiculous part. Quite high. Mind you, the prices I'm about to show you do include water and electricity, which is capped, but they don't say what the cap is. Wi-Fi, as well as the facilities which include a gym, volleyball and basketball courts, study rooms, and an iMac bar. And of course, swimming pools. So first up, we'll go from cheapest to the most expensive, and in 2023 prices. The first and cheapest being the 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. This configuration costs $195 per week, and as you can see, both the bedroom and bathroom are shared between 2 people. Though it does seem, but this could be an illusion, that the shared space is a little bigger than the other options. So that may be a decent payoff, but I'm still not too sure on that. The beds in this layout are also Twin XL, whatever that means. America again, winning at not standardizing normal things. I believe the main difference between a twin and a Twin XL is that the XL is like 5 inches longer or something, and if you ask me, that's a pretty okay length.
Wow.
The next layout is a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom. As it sounds, you have your own personal bedroom. However, you are still sharing your bathroom with another person. This configuration sets you back a cool $215 per week. The upside to this and the next configuration is that the bed is a full XL, which I think again is kind of the same as a double, but with the extra 5 inches of length. And finally, the oasis for those who enjoy their personal space and quiet, the 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom. This one sets you back a cool $235. Ouch. But to some, a small price to pay for freedom. All apartments come furnished with a washer, dryer, kitchen utensils, bowls, plates, cookware, etc. The only catch to this is you won't know until you get assigned your room if you have a tub or a standing shower. So good luck. Alright. Still with me? Good. Next, we went on to some of the perks of the program. Just like any cast member, complimentary theme park admission is, of course, one of the major perks of the position. Joe has noted that it has become easier for cast members to reserve days in parks, even day of reservations, so that's great to hear. Also, as a part of the program, there are many other exclusive perks. There will be times that they'll close down a park early for program or cast member only events. More often than not, these are usually held at Animal Kingdom or Hollywood Studios. Day trips. Day trips are a cool way to get used to your surroundings and live up some of that Florida lifestyle. There are often trips to beaches, shopping outlets, sporting events, and other touristy attractions and so on. So, as an international student who couldn't drive their car from Australia to the US, we're still not locked into our accommodation like the convicts we are. But also, we don't always have to fork out for a rideshare to have some fun either. Okay, so here's the part where I may have shot myself in the foot. I'm not particularly good at talking about myself, and well, that's basically what this interview process is all about. And probably because I got Joe's boss, Michelle, interviewing me, I may have laid some unwarranted stress upon myself. But I cannot stress how chill and laid back they made this whole process. It's just that my mind is sometimes my worst enemy. Not sure if this is how it's always done, but I was led into a room with Joe on one side of the table interviewing someone already, and then me and Michelle on the other end of it. So it was a little hard to concentrate, but I managed. The interview began with the formalities of whether I was an Australian citizen and what my current education status was, just to tick off the eligibility criteria. Then on to when you'd be available to begin the program. I chose the 23rd and was outright honest, as that's when cheaper flights to Florida are, but I'm also willing to depart for the 17th if necessary. We then moved on to whether I'd worked in the US before, or more specifically, if I had a social security number. And then the big question: why do you want to do the program? Now, I've been practicing this answer for weeks now, and for some reason it all just left my head there and then. And here I probably just rambled on about, being brainwashed by Disney at an early age, my love for what the cast members do, and so on, etc. Whereas really, what I wanted to say was, I want to do this program because I believe that in doing it, I will come to better understand myself and those around me. The ability to share my Australian culture with others from around the world, as well as being able to use my love and knowledge for Disney in a constructive ways, is such an exciting prospect for me. But no, my brain just let off a juicy, rank fart. The next question was basically, how does your previous work or volunteering experience equip you for the exchange? What could you take from that and bring to the program? Which surprisingly was a good one for me. And then on to what roles you would like to fill. For me were, in number 1, attractions, number 2, merchandise, and in number 3, recreation attractions. Now, we were asked to fill out our top 3 when we applied, and I even flat out told Michelle it's probably even changed every day since I did that. And she was okay with that. And to be honest, the last two are pretty interchangeable. So if I'm accepted, stay tuned to see what I end up with, hey? Because I'm even told that this year, the Australian and New Zealand crew will actually be given their location and their position. Whether or not that ends up happening, we'll find out soon. But tell you what I would love to end up with doing. Yes, please. Yep. Anyway, following that, there were just some basic questions about physical ability, working in the Florida weather, and so on. And then finishing with if there was anything not in my resume that I'd like to highlight that would make me a good fit for the role. And this is where I got to highlight my theatrical background, as well as other traits that I believe would have come in handy. And then you're given the opportunity to ask them any questions that you may have about the program. All in all, it took me about 2 hours of my morning. Mind you, for some reason I thought it started at 9, so I got there at 8:30, realized my mistake and went and had breakfast and came back. There was about 25 people in the session, so not too crowded. Definitely more than the 6 that were at the one at Perth. So what comes next? The offers are said to be out within the next 2 to 4 weeks, and assuming acceptance, there is 7 days to accept or decline the position. You need to make sure at that point you have an active passport and then also pay a $425 entrance fee. It's also recommended in the information session that you have enough money to support you for about your first 3 weeks of the program. As in your first week, you'll only have about 4 to 8 hours listed on your paycheck, and then the following week, it's probably still being settled. So again, carrying on from my last video, even before your first Disney paycheck, you'll need to have more money on hand. Also, once accepted, you'll need to complete a police check, which is then followed through by a company called London House, which is in Thailand. Go figure. Then, as mentioned in the last video as well, a visit to the consulate for a visa interview. Medical insurance, which is said to around cost about $80 a month, must be bought before you leave and by the Disney recommended company. The thing which gave me the most relief is that it's not a requirement to book a round trip, even if you're only doing the program for 6 months. So thankfully, I'll have the opportunity to hopefully book my flight out with frequent flyer points and support it on the way back with them as well. If you aren't a member of a frequent flyer program, maybe now is a good time to start. And finally, on your J1 visa. When you've successfully completed the program, we were told that there is a 30-day period after the program that you can travel around the US. So yeah, much like with what I went through on the day, that was a bit of an information explosion. But you had the ability to pause it and come back later. Lucky you. If you've reached the end of this video and found it helpful and informative, please hit the thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed, please consider that. And hit the Taco Bell logo too, so you'll be kept informed of future videos. Yes, not all my videos are currently Disney related, but hopefully you'll find them fun and curious enough for your entertainment. Till next we meet, may your days be magical and you stay wonderful. Bye for now.